One of the most important things when it comes to a photographer or videographer's workflow is the computer. Mine needs a little bit of maintenance. So for the last couple of months, I have been struggling with hard drive space. And when I came to decide to do a pro tutorial, which has 11 chapters in, that hard drive quickly filled up. So if you haven't noticed, the uploads have been a bit sporadic lately, and I hinted on why on my last YouTube live, which was basically, I have no hard drive space left to do other projects other than the pro tutorial. So today, we're upgrading the PC to make sure I have enough hard drive space. So the issue I have is workflow. Basically, my workflow was great up until I decided to start work on a pro tutorial for the website. Keep an eye out for that coming in the next couple of months. But basically, if we take a look at here on the computer now, you'll see the status of my hard drives. Okay, editing stew here. It appears that my desktop recording of my previous setup did not work. I did tell OBS to record to my E drive, but unfortunately it defaulted back to the scratch drive, which at the time had no hard drive space, so it didn't save. This is the new configuration, but I will try and explain the hard drive configuration so you can understand what we're doing in this video. So my C drive, which is here, this has all of my programs on. It's got Windows, the Adobe software. No data is stored on that drive. This drive here is my work drive. Now, I've never renamed it when I switched over to the photography, which is why it's called Digital Heavens, but that is my work drive. That is has everything on there that I do with YouTube, my photography and everything else. That then is backed up to a Digital Heavens backup, which currently isn't in sync. This is because I needed this drive for some extra video space. Again, now we've got the new scratch drive, I can now use that as an internal backup once more. That then is backed up to an external Seagate 4TB drive that is on my desk. I also have a 4TB external drive that is kept off site just in case there's a house fire or the equipment is stolen. I don't lose any data. This drive here is my data drive. That's got games, just data that's nothing to do with work, so that doesn't need to be backed up. And this drive here, which is the scratch drive, that is the drive in question of this video. Now, before we upgraded it, this drive was a 500 gigabyte drive, and it only had 5 gigabytes free space on there, which is why the desktop recording failed, because it had no space for it to record to. A scratch disk or drive is used for temporary storage of files. In my case, I use it for the storage of unedited video files for Premiere, and I also use it for Photoshop. When this disk gets full, my system really slows down. Now, all those drives, they're okay, they got space on, but they're not quick enough to do video editing for my workflow. They might be okay for you, but for me, it's not. And since I did the video for Lee that you can see up here, I fell in love with the EOS R for video recording, and I've been using it a lot more. So I've been doing more 4K video recording. I've been doing more higher bitrate 1080p video recording than what the 8D can currently use, which is what you're seeing here at the moment. And the problem with that is the scratch drive that was built originally for this computer was for space art is not big enough for my video editing. So that is the aim of today's video. We're going to upgrade this scratch drive. So the first thing I need to do is back up the data. Now, I've already backed up the data to 3 of the hard drives. So we have the internal standard data drive. I have my backup drive of that drive, and we have the external backup, which is just underneath there. So I have 3 copies of everything that is on this drive here. So we are good to go to shut down the machine and swap out these hard drives. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you the overhead camera because it's plugged into the actual PC. Unfortunately, we're a few days early recording this to a solution that is coming. That's going to be in the next video. There's a solution to the overhead camera. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and place it at such an angle that you're going to be able to see it. If you can't, I'll just skip straight to the installation. Right, so it's going to be a little bit pushed for frame size, so you'll have to bear with me. But while we got this out from underneath the desk, we're going to do some maintenance to it. Now, this is an 8-year-old machine, okay? Still going strong. When I built it, I maxed out the system for 3D rendering and for Photoshop, so it's still going strong, except for when we do live streams. Okay, now when it comes to technical aspects, I'm not got an anti-wrist strap. Okay, if I was building a system or it was a new system, I would have an anti-static strap. For this particular maintenance, we don't need it because we're only messing around with the SSD, so we don't particularly need that. Okay, so before I open it up, I'm going to give it a quick blast with the Hoover, because the way I designed this case is there's filters all on the front of the case where the air intake is. I can just stick the Hoover on it and Hoover it up. We might need to blow off some dust at the back here, but let's just get on with it. So those stubborn areas that don't want to hoover up because they're stuck, you can use one of these. Just a standard paintbrush. You can just brush it like this, and that dust is just going to fly off. Okay, let's crack it open and find out what the state of this is. There we go. And for an 8-year-old machine, we're not looking that bad. Now, with this being an 8-year-old machine, I am not going to mess around with the components. Now, last time I had it open was to put the graphics card in. And all I did was just take out the old one, slot the new one in. That's basically what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to strip it down. I'm not going to do cable management because, well, quite frankly, it doesn't need it. People go overkill when it comes to cable management. It's not needed. Okay, the airflow is perfectly okay in this machine. As you know, I've had it 8 years and it's still going strong, so we don't need to touch that. What I do need to do is identify which SSDs I need to take out of this system. We have two 120s at the top here. They are for the boot drive. They are rated in 0. And underneath we have the two 240s that are rated in RAID 0 again for the scratch drive. So we need to unclip these. Okay, and then we take that out. There we go. Okay, so let's push this back a bit. These are our two drives that we are replacing with the Samsung 860 EVO 1TB SSD. We are going to be putting two of these in, and we're going to RAID them in RAID 0. Well, let's give these a bit of a clean. Now, the reason everything is so dusty in here is, unlike popular belief, I don't have a dedicated macro room. This is actually my bedroom. So right by where the camera is, if I was to point there, right there, literally, I'm touching it. That's my bed. Okay, so literally my macro studio, or YouTube studio, some people call it, is the corner of my bedroom, which is why everything gets so dusty, because of the bed in here and the fact I spend probably 6 hours a day in this room, so that's why everything gets dusty. So there we go. This is the Samsung 850 EVO. This is a 250GB drive. I thought it was 240s, but the 250s. So there we go. So it is literally just a straight swap of hard drives. So here's the new drive. See there, it is an 860 EVO 1TB drive. We're going to pop that in. Like I said, it's a direct replacement. And this is basically because of the way I've set up the system, that at any time, whenever I feel like it, I can replace any one of my hard drives. I can even take out the work hard drive and replace it with a bigger hard drive if I wish to, because everything is backed up. The hard drives are independent of each other. If Windows goes down, I haven't got to spend hours backing up data because it's all on a separate hard drive. If a hard drive goes bang, I don't lose any data because it's all backed up. And it is a very important step, is making sure you don't lose data. But for me, it makes it a lot easier when I'm doing these type of upgrades. So us photographers and videographers, we crave over cameras, we crave over lenses, but not many people talk about the third aspect of this hobby, which is the computer. You know, if you upgrade your camera, you have to think ahead to make sure that your computer can cope with what you're asking it to do. Now, as I said before, mine is mostly because I chose to do a pro tutorial. But there is another reason I'm upgrading these hard drives, and that's because, it's because of what's going to happen in the next video, which you'll have to wait and see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to carry on now. I'm going to get these hard drives fitted, and I will speak to you once the machine is booted back up. But as you can see, we have both hard drives up here. We have a Samsung SSD 860 EVO 1TB. You can see there they are working. So what I need to do now is to get into the RAID controller and RAID these as a RAID 0. Okay, so we are in here now. We are in the RAID controller for this particular motherboard. This is our C drive, member disk 0. So that's 2 drives in there as member disk 0. Then we have our new Samsungs, which we want to RAID. So we want to create a RAID volume. Volume 1. Call this scratch drive. Don't know what it is. We're going to do RAID 0, which is Stripe. Again, if you don't know what RAID 0 is, then just do a Google search. So basically, it puts the drives into one drive that can read and write a lot quicker than a standard drive can. Right, let's select the discs. There you go. Go Samsung, Samsung, and done. Capacity is going to be 1,863 gigabytes. Great volume. Yes. There we go. And now we can exit. Now let's see what the chances are of Windows assigning drive D to our new scratch drive so that we don't have to do no configuration. So I think we got our hopes up a bit too much there. It hasn't recognised it obviously, but I'll show you how you can fix that. So if we take a look at our drives now, okay, you can see how it's reassigned our drive letters and that. And we have no scratch drive there, and that's because we have to initialize the actual disk. So we're going to come into Windows here. We're going to go to Start, right click, Disk Management. Okay, now it's recognized the fact that we have a new drive in there, and it says, do you want to initialize it? And we want to, yes, we want to initialize that drive. Okay, so this one here, which is the 1,863, which is what we noted when we did the RAID, that is our new drive. So we want a new simple volume. Click OK. Click Next. Most of this you don't have to worry about. What I do want though is I want it as drive D. And unfortunately, we haven't got a drive D at the moment. It's been allocated. So let's do it as drive S for scratch drive. We'll click Next. And basically you leave all this as default. We'll finish there. All we got to do now is just wait for that to format, and then we'll come back and have a look. That's our new drive. Okay, it's finished formatting now. We have a healthy primary partition. Now I'm just going to do a system reboot now, and we should have our scratch drive all ready to go. Man, my light turned off again. I'm using some cheap bulbs from B&Q. They're only £15, but they give out a high intensity light. They're only 4,000 Kelvin, unfortunately, but I have bought some new studio lights, so I can't wait to get them fitted so we can finally dump this thing that keeps turning on and off. It's like a Frankenstein's video light. Okay, what we've got to do now, we're just going to come in here and try change the drive letters. I don't know what this drive D is here. It might be one of the USB. Yes, it's going to be the SD card readers on the monitor. So I want to try and get my scratch drive back to D drive. To do that, I'm going to need to tell Windows not to assign this as drive D. Let's see if we can find drive D in here, shall we? Yeah, removable disk drive D is here, look. Okay, so Windows has assigned that. I don't want it. So we're going to change that to, let's go with, no, we don't want A. Let's go with Z. Okay, so now we have the drive there as a Z. I'm also going to change K, which is the other SD card reader on here. I'm going to change that one to Y. And that means when you're looking in your Windows Explorer like here, they're going to be right down the bottom, and I know where to go for those. Next, we come up to our scratch drive, change drive letters, and we're going to go with D. Okay, that's fine. There we go. So we have everything sorted out. I have my drive letters the way that I want them. So now I'm going to do a quick reboot and we're going to come in and check our software. Okay, so we're back here. I'm going to double check everything is great. And what I want to do now is I want to load up Photoshop to begin with, and we're going to just check that the scratch drives are assigned in Photoshop. Now, if you've already done this, then I would suggest you double check it, because sometimes when you get Photoshop updating, sometimes it wipes out its settings for some reason. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. So I'm going to come to Preferences and then Scratch Disks. So here, this is what typically happens after an update. It always has another drive selected, but fortunately, because of the way we've done it, it hasn't done it. So just double check that. I always untick the C drive because we don't want data going to the C drive. That's for programs only. But we have the D drive, which is our new scratch drive, and the E drive just in case, but I had that selected because I was running out of hard drive space. I can't see that happening now. We have a 2 terabyte scratch drive. Click OK. That is fine. The next one I'm going to check is Adobe Premiere. Okay, so we're going to come to File, Preferences, and we're going to look at General, Clearance, Hardware, Capture, Graphics, Media Cache. At the moment, if you look here, the media cache files are going to the C drive. We don't want that, okay? So we want that going to our new scratch drive. So in here, I'm going to create a new folder called Premiere, and this was the media cache. So inside here, we're going to do new folder, media cache. I always spell cache with an S, I don't know why. Okay, but in there we can select that now. That's going to go there. We have media cache database. We're going to put that into the same folder. Where are you? Scratch drive, Premiere, media cache. Okay. Move the existing cache data. No, we will delete it because we have no projects on the go apart from the Pro tutorial. We can recreate those cache files. Click OK. Now when we go to a new project, location here, that will go to our scratch drive, Premiere, Projects. Okay, we'll select that. Then on scratch disks here, it should already be set up because you've got it the same as the projects. Okay, that's just how I do it. It's just easier doing that. I'm just going to click OK. That will initialize a new project, and it will tell Premiere that's where our scratch disk is. Send everything there. Okay, we've got one more thing to do. That is to come over to our hard drive, grab the backup of what was on our scratch drive, and I'll be honest with you, I will probably not grab everything. What I want is these here. These are my project files. I'm going to put those into my scratch drive, Premiere, and paste that in there. Okay, and then all I need then is this project folder and these here. Those are overhead cameras that I've recorded. So we'll put that into there, and that's it. That's my upgrade done. Easy. Because I've got everything separated, you know, my C drive and Windows is separated from my data. The data is separated from my scratch drive. It just makes it so much easier to upgrade your hard drives. That is done. All I got to do now is just wait for that data to copy back over, which is almost 500 gigs of data I've got to copy over, so that will take a while. So that is my new scratch drive in there. I should now be able to film in 4K and edit in 4K. We will find out on the next video whether that works or not, because I've got some unboxing to do on the next video, so look out for that. But for now, my name's Stuart Wood. I want to thank you for getting to the end of this video. Click like, comment and subscribe if you haven't done already, and I'll see you on the next one. Now, if you watch my live, the way I have Windows set up is in, because we're only messing around with the H. Again, if you don't know what that is, then do please. Let me turn this around a bit. There we go. Again now, and then we're going to come into and check the, and then